Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a massive, frankly game-changing shift in the construction industry. We're going to explore how project managers are taking these chaotic, highly complex builds and transforming them into totally streamlined successes using a tool called Asta Powerproject. Honestly, if you deal with scheduling in any capacity, the mechanics of this shift are absolutely fascinating. So how do you plan for the unpredictable? That is literally the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? As professionals in the thick of it, you know the universal pain points of the industry inside and out. You're constantly juggling incredibly tight deadlines, complex team scheduling, and tasks that seem to change on a daily, if not hourly basis. When the unpredictable inevitably happens, how do you adapt without the whole project just falling apart? Well, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with construction's biggest management challenges, then move into building your first program. After that, we'll look at mastering tasks and resources, and finally wrap up with delivering real-world results. Okay, let's dive right in. Part 1. Construction's biggest management challenges. For the longest time, managing these massive projects heavily relied on experience, gut intuition, and, let's face it, basic spreadsheets. But there's a huge disconnect there. Trying to manage a multifaceted modern high-rise with a tool originally built for basic accounting, it just falls short. Modern construction means coordinating numerous stakeholders and hitting strict deadlines that those traditional methods simply weren't built to handle gracefully. It's kind of like trying to win a Formula One race in a golf cart. What happens when the tools don't match the task? Well, poor planners end up reacting when it's already too late. Relying on outdated methods practically guarantees that complex team schedules will clash. That leads straight to inefficient resource allocation, triggering unmitigated project delays and, ultimately, those severe budget overruns we all dread. The takeaway here? You absolutely need to identify these macro-level issues before they cost you a week of progress. Which brings us to Part 2, building your first program. So, what exactly is Asta Powerproject? Developed by Elicosoft, the sources highlight this as a comprehensive planning and scheduling software built specifically for the construction industry. It's an incredibly powerful alternative to things like Microsoft Project, relying heavily on intuitive, visual tools. It literally empowers you to visualize project schedules effortlessly, taking you from the most basic data input all the way up to full top-down project oversight. Let's walk through a typical day-in-the-life setup to see how this actually works in practice. First, you open the software and load up the native construction template. Then you add your tasks, say an excavation, along with durations and start dates, like July 4th. From there, it's so simple. You just click the end of one taskbar and drag it down to link dependencies. It visually locks them together, so they automatically follow sequentially. Let's ground this in a concrete example from the source material. Imagine you're working on a really complex city center basement project. Using those simple linking tools, you map out a capping beam installation, and you can easily overlap specific subcontractor tasks for that capping beam. Once it's complete and the props are installed, the software logically flows right into the basement excavation phase. You're building a seamless, unified timeline. And as you're building out these tasks, there's this highly useful reporting notes feature living right alongside your schedule. Planners can just type specific plant requirements directly into a column, like noting you need a Gang 1 14-ton excavator for a specific job. But it's not just for equipment. You can use this exact same space to track real-time progress, flag a lack of design information, or note delays. It keeps all that vital context tied directly to the visual schedule. The why is never separated from the when. All right, moving on to Part 3, mastering tasks and resources. Now, what's really interesting about this next section is the automated calculations. Let's anchor this concept with a specific number, 5,000. Think of this as 5,000 cubic meters of excavation. It perfectly illustrates a brilliant feature inside the software called task work. Here's how task work operates. Instead of guessing how long a task might take, you just type your quantities straight into a pre-prepared table. So you have 5,000 cubic meters of earth to excavate, right? You input that your team can handle 1,000 cubic meters per day. Boom! The software auto-calculates and reduces the task duration to exactly 5 days. Actually, scratch doing it the hard way. It completely bypasses the need to manually map out individual resource hours. The software does the heavy math lifting for you. And here's where it gets really clever. Take a look at this brick layer bottleneck on the histogram. The system already knows from your settings that you only have 3 available. If you accidentally allocate 4 of them concurrently, the software instantly flags that slice of time in bright red. There's no guessing. You know immediately that you're over-allocated before a single brick is even laid. Fixing those clashes is just as intuitive. You can view your project sliced by task by resource to see exactly what your teams are up to at any given second. When a clash does happen, you literally just drag and drop different resources onto a task to solve it. Say you have a demand block for a subcontractor. Check their real-time availability, assign an available roofer or whoever you need, and just like that, the gap is filled and the red flag clears. Now, as projects scale up, managing all this data obviously gets complicated. But here's a quick look at the newest Asta 2026 filter enhancements. Instead of building massive, complicated rule sets from scratch, you can now quickly combine existing filters. It takes what used to be a really tedious administrative task and turns it into a few quick clicks. It adds an incredible layer of efficiency and reusability to your everyday workflow, especially when you're dealing with extensive code libraries. Let's zoom out a bit and see how this all builds up. Part 4. Delivering real-world results. The source material points to a fantastic case study of a leading construction firm managing a massive, highly complex infrastructure project. By utilizing Asta's real-time progress monitoring and granular resource allocation tools, they didn't just survive the chaos, they totally mastered it. They actually finished this large-scale job ahead of schedule and under budget. In another case study, this one focusing on a residential development, a company leaned heavily into the proactive risk management features. Because their visual schedules allowed them to spot potential bottlenecks super early, they were able to mitigate the impacts before they caused real damage. This is exactly how you plan for the unpredictable. It allowed them to deliver right on time and completely exceed their clients' expectations. So, when you pull all of this together, what are the ultimate benefits? Well, it's a fundamental shift from reactive to proactive management. You aren't just logging data anymore. You are assuring tight cost control, enabling seamless team collaboration, integrating deeply with building information modeling, and minimizing your downtime to absolutely maximize profitability. So, based on everything we've unpacked today, I want you to ask yourself a question. Is your current software actually building your project, or is the administrative friction delaying it? When you're managing multi-million-dollar builds, having a tool that puts you entirely in control isn't just a nice-to-have upgrade, it's absolutely essential. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this gave you a powerful new perspective on managing the unpredictable.